Hi, it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot, and I'm here today to do a March wrap-up. I haven't done a wrap-up for actually, I can't remember the last time I did a wrap-up, but I thought I've been doing a few things. So, shock and horror. What I've actually got here is a workbook. And what am I working with? Well, I've actually bought a book called The Ancestral Tarot, Uncover Your Past and Chart Your Future by Nancy Hendrickson. I just wanted to make sure I did it right, got the right author there for it. And ancestor work is not something that I've really been interested in at all, but it's kind of, sometimes it's cropped up in a couple of my spirit messages, and I knew they were actually meant for me, in my readings and so forth. So I thought, what, I might bite the bullet. Had really good reviews, and so I decided to walk. I'm not going to show you my writing, hey, because I've got the most horrendous writing that you wouldn't ever believe. I've been using the Everyday Witch Tarot, which is actually a new deck to me, and I've edged mine in this bright blue. I used to have the Green Witch Tarot, and I didn't really think anything of it. I actually sold it, but actually I didn't think I'd like this, and the reason I got it was really, really cheap. It was the mini deck, and I thought, you know what, I'll actually buy it. I think it was only around $25, $27 or something like that. It was pretty cheap. Well, I actually got it on Etsy, which is even more surprising, with free delivery, but it was from somebody here in Australia. And I actually really like it. It's not cutie pie. It's not, it's not a bad deck. I'm really actually quite surprised the readings that I'm getting with it. I'm using this deck for the Ancestral Tarot. I might, pull another deck, but I was kind of drawn to using this deck, which is unusual, because I suppose doing this type of work you might decide to use a deck that you're very familiar with. But there's one thing I will say about myself is I have got a lot of decks, but I do use every single one of them. And maybe as I work through the book, I might actually choose another deck to do to do these readings. But I find this deck really, really good, actually working with it. So that's one thing that I've done. So that's the first time I have ever, in 30 plus years of reading the tarot, started a journal. Something I never thought that I would do, but this is something that, you want to sink your teeth into, and I think you do need a written document of that type of thing. So that's one thing I've been doing. The 16th of March, I had my very first yearly checkup for my cancer. So I went to see my radiotherapist, and he was very, very pleased with my progress. He was very pleased with that I'm keeping up with the exercises, because that was actually, they had an exercise clinic there, and they showed you some, so turn my science sound off, because knowing my luck, my husband will ring. They actually show you, they've got an exercise clinic there, and they show you a set of exercises. You have to be careful when you've got lymphedema, you have to be careful with this arm. A lot of women lose their strength in this particular, and in the arm, when you suffer from it. I've been particularly lucky. I haven't really lost a lot of strength in this arm. However, I'm careful with it, with lifting and so forth. So he was very pleased that I've been keeping up the exercise. So I actually got a video out on YouTube on just how important exercise is to those of us who've had cancer, and to keep it from coming back. If I can find the link to the video, I might put it down in the description box, because it's really, really interesting. It's 5 years old now, but I remember watching it, I think when I was actually going through chemo, and I was really, really keen on doing the program, and I was really thrilled when the radiotherapist that offered it at the clinic, Genesis Care. So, so I've been keeping up with that. The only thing is they actually use elastics. Now, everybody's watched the videos, funny home videos, where the elastics gives way and, take guys' nuts out and things like that. I didn't like that idea. So, because my husband Aaron's been lifting weights for over 40 years, so he showed me how to do each of the exercise using free weights. So I walk on one day, and then I do weights the next, and I do that for 5 days a week. I just have the weekends off to give my body a break. And what he does is, what they do is they take off you strip off your bra, and he checks all along your mastectomy scar and your chest wall and your lymph nodes, and he checks your back and your other side, just to make sure there's nothing there. I was a little bit concerned, because I did find a lump above my collarbone here that showed up on the 1st of March, but it was like when you put your finger in a I don't know, it felt like a water balloon, squishy, really, really squishy. But it went away. But I noticed when I was brushing my teeth, it was actually wobbling. So what I figured out is actually the lymphedema. I Googled it, and it can actually travel up into your neck. And he said, I'm still quite swollen here. But he agreed that that's what it was. But if I had any concerns, to see my oncologist. I don't have to see my oncologist now for another year as well, so I don't have to see him till January, although in August I do have to go back for my xolic acid bone transfusions to keep your bone healthy, putting calcium back in it. I take calcium tablets as well. I started that as soon as I started my radiotherapy. So I go back in August. I've got to do that twice a year. So I've got another 4 times to go through that. That actually made me quite sick. I was quite disappointed. I thought I was a bit more healthier than that. But when I spoke to, because we keep in touch by phone on the teleconference, my oncologist and he said to me, how did you go with it? And before I could even say it was like chemo, he said, it's a bit like chemo, isn't it? And he was dead right. All of the side effects, my God, I had the worst stomach cramps that you wouldn't believe. It was like, for those of you like me who are lactose intolerant, when you have something that you shouldn't and you get them really bad cramps, well, think of that 4 days running. It was really excruciating. That was the worst. I was dizzy, tired. Oh, it was shit. But, it's something that I've got to do. Because I think he was thinking that I was going to give it up. And I said, oh, no. I said, I'll do what I have to stay healthy. The only other problem I had, I broke out in a really bad rash, like you wouldn't believe. First off, it started on my neck and it came up like hives. And I was a bit worried about it. So I went to the hospital, just a local hospital, and they gave me some antihistamines and everything like that. It cleared it up, and then it kept coming back, and then it spread to my legs. And, it was a little bit concerning. And when I was getting my bone transfusion, I mentioned it to the oncology nurses, and they gave me a printout on the letrozole, which is what I take to stop my hormones from producing, because that's what caused my breast cancer. It actually come up on there that it can give you hives. But I got to the point where I thought I'd have to change medication, and I didn't really want to do that, because when you take these hormone tablets to stop your hormones producing, it's a bit like going through menopause if you haven't been through it. Like, you go through full-blown menopause, so you can get the hot flushes, put on a lot of weight, your bones ache, and they can ache that bad that some women can't even get out of bed. And so it's a lot of like trying different tablets. Now, I've only ever get a very slight ache in my knees and my shins. I've lost 14 kilos on this. I always said my hormones were to blame for my weight loss, because, when you're underweight your entire life and then you suddenly get fat, and I'm talking going from 50 kilos up to 98 kilos at my heaviest, okay, not changing my eating habits, talking to your black and blue to doctors, going to see dietitians who said that your diet's fine. It was really, really stressful. As soon as I started taking those tablets, I dropped 2 kilos in the first week, and it's been steady. I'm down now to about 82. I want to get a little bit, I'd like to get down to about, I reckon 65. I'd be happy around the 65 mark. But when I mentioned this to my radiotherapist, he goes, yeah, that's the estrogen for you. So if people who deal with cancer all the time realise that it's the hormones that make us women fat, why can't a normal doctor do it? And why can't they do something? It's really very, very frustrating. So anyway, enough of that rant. Why I ended up with this rash is because of lovely COVID. My chemist couldn't get me the original brand that my doctor, oncologist, prescribed me. So they gave me a different brand, and this is when the rash started, right? But I didn't twig onto it. Now, my chemist, he's a lovely man, but he's a compound chemist, so he makes up a lot of his own medicines. And then he said to me, did this actually start when you were on this brand? And I thought about it, and I said, actually, yes, it did. You're right. When I very first went on it back in August last year, I had a very slight little rash, and it was just very, very slight. It looked like a heat rash. Now, because I've got mauled by a dog when I was a kid, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I've got a scar there. Often, if I'm going to get a rash, it'll come up on there. So I just thought it was a heat rash and didn't think anything, but it went away. But this was absolutely incredible. My whole neck up here was red. It was just absolutely awful. So I managed to get me my original brand, and my oncologist said, stop taking it for a week and a half. It won't hurt you, and then go back on it. So I stopped taking it. The rash went away. Went back on my normal brand one, the original one the oncologist gave me, and I haven't had any trouble since. So it was definitely... So when it comes to, you know how they always say that generic medicines, it was the same when I was on antidepressants. They said generic doesn't matter. It's absolute bullshit. If you're better off, I'm not saying really up for colds and flu, it doesn't matter, but when it's something important like, you know, a tablet you take to prevent your cancer coming back and antidepressants, it's best to take the brand name. So as soon as I went back to the brand name that my oncologist originally prescribed me, the rash has gone away. I haven't had it back since. You know, and I was thinking it was my face cream. I was changing my face cream. I was doing everything. It was really shit. I tell you, you know, you go through enough, you know, you can feel really ugly once you go through chemo and cancer and things like that. And then to have your skin, you know, looking like a bloody, I don't know, it almost looked like you had the measles. It was unbelievable. But, yeah, he was an actual chemist who pinpointed it. So once we got all that sorted, then my oncologist said, look, I don't have to see you then until January next year. And I've got any concerns to always give him a call. I'm still getting mistreated, my lymphedema, because my arm is too swollen. So I've got to see her next month in April. And she said she's going to re-bandage it. So what they did was they bandaged it super, super tight for a week, possibly 2. And then she said she'll get me into a smaller pressure bandage and glove. What I'm thinking, though, is I think I would like the gauntlet. I wear one at night, which is a gauntlet, and it's just much easier, you know, when it comes to washing your hands or, you know, doing vegetables as it is now. If I'm eating anything messy or cutting up, you know, like onion, I wear those food gloves over my hand to keep it clean. So that's still a thing in progress, and lymphedema is something you can suffer for the rest of your life. Actually, it was quite funny. One of my husband's work colleagues, now she beat cancer or something 8 years ago, and she only just started to get lymphedema now in her legs 8 years later. So it's just something that, you know, that can crop up. So health-wise, I'm doing really, really well. I do see get my other breast scanned in September, I think, this year. That's a yearly thing as well. Because I had an early one last year because there was some concern. There was a shadow in my right breast, but that's all clear. When I went to the actual breast surgeon, he said I wouldn't even bother sitting down. He said, no, everything looks nice and clean and clear in there. And I spoke to the lady who thought she saw something. She was really happy. So now that's just a yearly occurrence as well. So I see the radiotherapist for 5 years. And then they said they kissed me goodbye. But with my oncologist, it'll be like at least 9 years, because I have to take these tablets to stop my hormones reducing for 10 years. Like it's either 5 to 10 years. So that's where it stands health-wise. I've also got this really nifty, look, as you know that I keep all my tarot cards, you know, I buy, so this one is actually for this. I try and get them to kind of match what I feel like the deck would like, which kind of sounds weird. But I take the deck with me and I have a look through the red dot stores and I pick a box, and you can see them all in the background there, all them boxes. That's all my tarot cards in there. But I have got some that I had in bags, and I really, really hate storing my tarot cards in bags because they tend to bow unless you can have them flat on the shelf. So I've got my Twisted Tarot Tales in a bag, but I've got it flat in the shelf. I did have it hanging down, but it's such a thick deck that hasn't bowed at all. But a couple of other decks I noticed were starting to bow. So I found this, and I put a photo on it. So I got this from Aldi for $5. It's actually meant to sit in your drawer, in your sock drawer, your underwear drawer, and you use all the inserts for that. But I thought, that'd be bloody terrific for your tarot cards. So I've got the tarot cards, as you can see, that aren't in the, at the back. I've got the Hush Tarot, the Wild Offering, and the Seed and Sickle deck. So decks that I want to work with for the month or anything like that, I've got at the back. But the ones that are lying down flat are the ones that I'm just going to keep, and then I've just got it on my desk. But, I can swap them out. I can, take what have I got in here? So, like, for instance, I was doing this, because this one was one of the ones that bowed I forget this deck, and I only just done a video with it, isn't it? I've got the app to it. I always forget. The Shining Tribe. This one was starting to bow, I noticed, because when it hangs up, I think all the pressure. So, yeah, I just thought, what if my tarot cards will fit in there? And they do. So decks that I'm currently working with, I'll put them on my desk. I've got all the decks in there. If I want to work with some others, I'll grab the, whatever box that's in over there, take it out and put the deck that's currently in the inserts in that box, and Bob's your uncle. But it's terrific. So it sits nicely on my desk, and I've got my cards at my fingertips, because sometimes, you might be shooting a video and you want to grab a deck and ask something, and I thought I'll keep the 4 at the back for something that I'm working with that's in the box. And this is what I'm trying to work with. I'm trying to work with tarot more now. Now that I'm well, I can do it. Like I did my first weekly reading, which had really dismal views on last Monday, but I just wanted to try it because I had a new Norman deck, and I thought, oh, well, I'll use that and, just give it a shot, doing a weekly reading. Weekly readings aren't something that I'll be doing. I just thought I'd do something different for a change. But I really like the idea. If I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you like now and I decide to pull a card, I could just grab it and shuffle it and pull a card. So for those of you who've got Audi, or I'm sure you'll be able to get these in Kmart or something else, but I thought for $5 it's worth a shot. And you can just have you can just grab them. And, being in the office, it's not going to get dusty or anything like that. So I did that, doing my journaling, first time ever. My health is really well, and I should be doing more videos now. I was holding off doing videos, to be honest, because my appointment was on the 16th of March, and I was really, really paranoid, hey. I was really, really paranoid because the next 5 years are crucial to whether the cancer comes back or not. But he was so, so pleased with me because I'm keeping up with my exercising, I'm losing weight. We've incorporated more vegetarian into our diet as well. I can't go full vegetarian because of what's happened to me. I've got to make sure I have enough protein. But in saying that, we have, because my husband's gone on a health kick with me, he wants to lose some weight as well. We make up our own shakes in the morning. And luckily we've got an apiary that's near us, so we always go and buy our honey up in Gingin, absolutely beautiful. And I said to him, remember when I used to put bee pollen in your shakes, and you used to reckon it gave you, good energy when you used to do your workouts? He goes, oh yeah, so we brought some bee pollen. I'll tell you what, usually this time, what is it now? It's 12:30, so it's not too late. But usually around 2 o'clock, I sort of have to have a nap. And this is even before I was sick. It's just what I am. I'm a napper. I always like to have my naps. But this stuff, since we've been having it, so we've been having it again in our morning shakes. The morning shakes is just milk. I've got pineapple, blueberries, bananas, some protein powder. I've got green powder. I've got acacia powder. I've got hemp seeds and flaxseed. And now we've put bee pollen in it as well. And I can't tell you the difference it's made. It really gives you a lot of energy. I'm really, really surprised because I just thought he was bullshitting, because he's a bit like that sometimes, Aaron. He'll say, oh, yeah, I feel really good since you've been doing this and that. And, sometimes I trick him when I don't actually do things just to well, keeps our marriage alive. Shit's tearing each other. But it really makes a difference. And apparently, I think a teaspoon of the bee pollen has got as much as protein as, was it 5 kilos of meat or something incredible, really, really incredible. So we have a shake in the morning sometimes around 8 o'clock. I get hungry and I'll have some honey on rye bread. I was going to say German bread because we used to call it as kids, on some rye bread. Have my lunch, and then we have our dinner. So, we're very mindful of what we're putting in our body. We always have been anyway. We're not, except for Aaron, I have to say he does love his junk food. I've never really been a junk food person, but when you go through something like cancer, you even think what else you can do even more. And otherwise, the other big change is now, of course, we got 2 cats. We've got kittens, Salt and Pepper. So they are just on 12 weeks old now, I think. Just on 12 weeks, or next month in April, I think they'll be 12 weeks. Anyway, what a lot of fun it is having kittens again in the house. I never had such young kittens. I got them when they were 4 weeks old, and they was, oh my God. Of course, the black one, Pepper, we didn't see him for about a week. He just hid under the couch. He was really, 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 really skittish. Like, I couldn't tell you. See, I told you he would ring as soon as I do the phone. So what I'm going to do is I'll just put that on Do Not Disturb. So, yeah, he was very, very skittish and wouldn't come out for a week. Now he is so smoochy. Last night he was sleeping on my lap and he slept with his little head in my hand. Salt is a feisty one. He looks like butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. He's a little devil, that one. We've got holes in our curtains now. But it doesn't really matter because we're getting rid of them and getting some roller blinds installed in a few weeks' time. But it's been really fun. I was thinking, and I was nervous that if I got sick and I died, that, I'd have cats that, wondering what's happening to me. But anyway, I actually asked a hard question from the tarot, and I got a good result about it not coming back. And so I thought, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to get these kittens, and it's been the best thing I've ever did. I've been really, really enjoying having 2 little kittens in the house. I've never had them so small, because Blackie, I think, was nearly a year old when I got her, maybe possibly a bit older, so I've never had such a small kitten before, and it's a lot of fun. They are absolutely hilarious, the way they run up and down the house. If they've been scratching at the door, they want to come in here, but they've kind of been banned from here because they go nuts. They walk all over the desk, and they were, Aaron was trying to work because he works 2 days a week now from home instead of the 1 day, and they're walking across his keyboard, attacking the paper coming out of the printer, so they're kind of banned from here anyway. But so that's another change that's happened with us, and that's a real big change. We're looking at getting a dog in July. Aaron's boss actually has breeds, what are they called? Blue Staffordshires, I think that's called, Staffordshire Bull Terrier, little stockish sort of a short dog. If I find a picture, I might Google a picture and I'll put it up. So we might be getting one of them in July. So it's all happening from someone who said they wouldn't have any more pets to suddenly having cats and then looking at getting another dog. But we've kind of figured out that, we won't be travelling really anymore. And we've actually got a good boarding kennel that we had with when we had Oscar. And when I had my cat, there's a terrific cattery. She was terrific with Blackie because having thyroid disease, which was always very, very thin, and every time I got her back from her, she managed to get her to put on weight, which was amazing. So there's no worries about that. But, for the foreseeable future, we really cannot see ourselves travelling anywhere. So we decided we might as well get some pets, and it's been really, really enjoyable, I have to say. I really have to say I've been loving it. What else has been happening? Nothing that I can think of. I think that's it really for March. So I've been getting back into the tarot because now that I know I'm well and I'm just doing the yearly checkups, I was a little bit worried about I was going to read in the tarot. I kind of avoided the tarot last year. I just sort of went for decks like the Wild Offering and things like that, just sort of nice, calm decks. Except, the Shining Tribe, I did use the app and pull a card every day on that, except for the days I went to the doctor, because I did that mistake once. I got the Tower card, and I thought when I got diagnosed that, that's it, I'll just start chemo, but I didn't realise you had to go through all these imaging and scans to make sure it hadn't spread through your body, and that was a real shock for me. So after that, I never ever pulled a card when I had a doctor appointment. I'd do it after, when I got home, when I knew what was going on. So that's about it, I think. That's all I can tell you. So I turned 56 on the 23rd of March, and I spent that day, we did go out for lunch, my husband and I, but I kind of spent that day in quiet reflection, because this time last year I didn't know if I was even going to be here for my birthday. So I spent that in just quiet reflection and gratitude and thanks that I'm still here, and that I'm going to make damn well that I'm going to be here until at least I'm well over 100. That's my plan. And that's it really. That's all I can think of telling you. So until next time, I hope all of you are well and take care.